All right. Welcome everyone to the Pham's Coffee Hour. I don't know if everyone can tell, but today I'm switching sides. You get to see the other beautiful side of my face. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I have a very special guest, Michelle Vogt. Am I saying that right?
Vogt.
Vogt.
Yep, like go vote for me.
Vogt. Michelle is an insurance agent with Pathway Bank, and she works primarily out of the Grand Island branch here. So you can go visit her if you like. But I think she does quite a bit of traveling, actually. Pathway, I didn't know this, but has been a local business since 1902. They've just been operating under different names out of the Carroll area primarily. Michelle's been an insurance agent with Pathway since 2016. The reason I know Michelle is because she used to go to my mom's nail salon, and then we met, and then, next thing you know, I don't even have enough fingers to count how many policies I have with Michelle, actually, but
True.
She is a trusted advisor, at least for me in my business and my personal life. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. We're going to talk about insurance today. I know some of you are like, insurance, weird, boring, but you know what? We're going to talk about some, sometimes boring stuff is necessary to talk about.
Great.
And you just don't know it's boring until you know more about it. You're like, it's actually kind of interesting. And these are the boring stuff that make or save you in your life, you know? These are like adulting stuff.
Right. The stuff you don't want talked about, but it's important.
It's very important, yes. And we have somebody like Michelle here who's been doing it for, what is that, like 8-9 years?
Yep. I've been at Pathway for 8 years, and I was somewhere else for a year before that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
She knows what she's talking about. But before we jump into insurance, let's kind of get to know Michelle a little bit. This is a new year. How was 2024 for you? Were there some highs and low moments that you can remember?
Definitely. So, just thinking about my high was, like I told you, I officially came a manager of Pathway Insurance. And so, yes, that was so exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was due. So
I'm like over our Grand Island branch, and then we have a manager over our Carroll branch. So then we get to make our decisions together.
Sure.
So that's exciting to know that what the future is going to hold for us. We get to make it. At some point, the other manager will retire. So then it's just me. So I'm glad that I get time with her before she does retire to learn all the ins and outs, because insurance is something different literally every single day.
Yeah.
So that's a high and low moment, I think, as well too. You know, we have our exciting things that happen, just our people coming in to buy a house, or they got a new car, and we get to, tell them how exciting it is and congratulations, and they're just excited about it. But then we have those lows of, here comes the storms.
Yeah.
And now what? What's tomorrow going to bring when we come into the office? And that's never fun. Like, did I insure everybody correctly? Did I have everything on there that they want? Did they get something and not tell me, or did they add on to their house and not let us know? We sure hope not.
Yeah.
But it unfortunately happens.
Yeah.
And that's always nerve-wracking.
Are you learning a whole different side of the business that is a little different from just being an agent? You're kind of maybe a little more like Hawkeye view of things.
I'm seeing all those like backside numbers of like, we have to run reports on everybody. If we do that with every company, that costs a lot. Or and I never thought about it that way. Like, I'm just doing my work. So I'm seeing all of the ins and outs of the back info that you don't think about. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like that kind of better equips you actually to being an agent as well? Because you're kind of seeing things a little differently.
I do.
There's a meaning to the number, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I see why they would tell me to do things. Managers would say, do it this way, or how about this? Try this, or don't do this unless you have to.
Yeah.
Well, it's sometimes easy to do things, but don't do it unless you have to. So now I have to have that talk with my employees.
I think that's the route that you've taken is like, if I was working at Pathway, is what I would prefer. Like, I've worked at jobs before and somebody gets hired in as a manager, and you're like, you've never been in my shoe. You have no idea. Like, what are you even talking about? And they're just like spieling out stuff. So it's like you've been in the trenches. You've done that work, and then now you're able to kind of help other people through that process as well. So congratulations on that.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We also went through a time this year, and I think everyone just getting new agents. And yes, we may have had an agent in the office for now 6 months. They're still new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's new things happening every single day,
Uh-huh.
and we're all about advising our customers. So making sure that our agents are all up to speed and know what's going on, and they're all we have a great team now that is very good about asking questions and not just giving answers, which we love.
Yeah.
So that's helpful, and I'm so excited about our team now, and just as we keep going and what everybody's going to be able to accomplish. So that's exciting.
It makes sense. How big is the team now?
So we have 3 in Grand Island, 3 in Caro, and then we have an accountant as well.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Doing insurance. Does it weigh on you mentally quite a bit? Like, do you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, oh shoot, did I forget to add roof insurance or whatever on this house? Like,
my life.
Yeah.
I literally will wake up and I will think of something and send myself an email so I don't forget to do it.
Yeah. Not so pretty part of your job is you like have to let people know that their claims are getting denied and stuff. Is that like,
I am unfortunately working through a claim from June and it's just sometimes can be a struggle. I want to, insurance is about making our customers back to being whole again, where they were when they started, before the storm, before a fire, whatever. And that is our goal. So if it's not happening, we want to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
So this morning, I'm talking on the phone with adjusters. I'm going to make this happen because that's my job. And I am going to do everything I can to make that happen. So when it doesn't, when something gets denied or something isn't covered that they thought was covered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tough conversation to have.
And one that nobody wants to have. So that's never fun.
Yeah. And you're like in the middle of this like disaster sandwich. And you're like this side's pulling on you and then this side's pulling on you and you're just like,
I know.
Yeah.
But then my heart is like, I just have to help them, so it's tough. It's tough.
All right, everybody, if you're listening, give your insurance agent some love every once in a while because they do not like telling you
that. It's all pretty. It's all easy. It's amazing until a claim.
Until it's not. Yeah. I think on the other side of that, it's like you've been doing this for so long that you just have clients like myself here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Half the time I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm just like, Michelle, I trust you to make the decision that you feel like is best for me and my business and my life and my family.
Yes.
Like, how does that feel to know that people like trust you on that level?
It's huge. So also before I sold insurance, I worked in a bank for 2-3 years. So between the bank and insurance, it really made me not trust people, right?
Yeah.
Because I realize how shady people can be and how they're going to lie for what's best for them. So having so many customers trust me, and I do have a lot that are like you, like I trust you and I know that you're doing what's best for me and going to have me covered for what I need. So please do that. And that does feel amazing. And I didn't think that would ever be something that I would be able to have. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
That's an interesting point that you brought up there, that it's like a two-way, like I'm trusting you to take care of me, but then you also trust that I'm like not pulling a quick one on you and try to make you look bad in front of like insurance companies that you represent and so forth. Yeah. So that's an interesting dynamic there that
we all think about. We have those too. I mean, people who can be my best friend, but I know in the end that they're still not telling me the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard. It can be hard to help them or do what they need me to do. Because if you're lying to me, it's really hard for me to
go to bat for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But I know I'm not worried about that with you.
Yeah. You just wait. I'm getting my claims in. Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic that I didn't think about. It's growing up, like I hear people talk about like it's all about relationships, and you just don't get it until you kind of get it. Once you go in the business for yourself, once you do things that require you trusting in other people, like that long-term relationship is so important for like I don't know, nickels and dimes is just it doesn't ever, you're winning short term
Right.
on doing that to somebody else, but yeah, you need people on your team, and it's yeah, it pays to have those relationships for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Um let's kind of go into some career questions I have that I think maybe some of our listeners might be interested in. Since you've been doing this for so long, can you identify any kind of skill sets that you feel like are really important to be able that maybe somebody can look for in an insurance agent to see if they're the right one for them?
I think just being able to sit down and have that conversation.
Yeah.
The first time I met you, like we were able to have a conversation.
Uh-huh.
Communication is huge.
Yeah.
As we know, like even if I have to call you with that bad news,
Uh-huh.
you have to be able to communicate. Or if
Yeah.
I haven't got your stuff done yet, that I call you and let you know, like, hey, I'm still working on it. But just communication is
Uh-huh.
the key to everything,
Yeah.
in the insurance business, we also have to be huge multitaskers
Yeah.
because we can be working on something, the phone's ringing, they need help. Like we're working on 10 different things
Yeah.
at one time.
Yeah.
And so if you can't do that, it may not be for you,
Yeah.
but you learn it as well,
Uh-huh.
whether you want to or not.
Yeah. Do you have a great scheduling or like system that you use for like things closing out and like things that are in progress and things that are just starting? Like
Depends on the day.
yeah. Depends on the day.
I
I got
try.
that paper around
Right.
here somewhere.
You know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's all organized. I just got to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I try to.
Uh-huh.
Or I try to like, this is what I'm starting my day with, and then I'm doing this.
Uh-huh.
But then that phone rings and something's more important.
Yeah.
A customer just got hit by a drunk driver, or they're in the hospital, or,
Mhm.
prioritizing and figuring out that prioritizing what you're going to do, that's huge too.
Yeah.
So,
Does
yeah.
it feel great when you're like, I just rocked that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
And I finally did it. They signed the papers.
Yeah.
They're doing it. Yeah. It's
like,
finished.
it's like one thing checks off.
Yes. And sometimes, I make a checklist, to-do list, and add things on there that I know I'm about done with, just so I can cross it off to make myself feel better. I'm one of those.
I made a list. Check mark. I did that.
I think something else that is huge as well, besides that communication, is just you have to know how to communicate with a variety of people.
Mm-hmm.
We have people come in their highs and their lows.
Mm-hmm.
They could be screaming at us in the beginning of that conversation, and we just gotta get them calm down, listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
because things aren't always pleasant in
Mm-hmm.
insurance, as we know. So just being able to have just keep people calm, have that conversation, or even tell them we'll call you back, and then usually that can help too.
Oh, sure. That actually, I didn't think about that, but you're having conversations with people and you have to get information out of them. And yeah, sometimes that can be a little more difficult. And yeah, there's a lot of different customers out there, and they all communicate differently. And you have to be a mirror to that and how to communicate with them the way they can kind of understand.
Definitely.
I feel like in general, insurance has a lot of misconceptions. Like they think you guys are driving around in Bentleys or something, and like you're just making a ton of money off of people and stuff. Well, I don't know. Some of the actual insurance company, if you look at their profits, it's kind of insane. But somebody who represents the people, represents the rest of Grand Island that needs coverage and stuff. Are there some general misconceptions that you think are like, let me clear it right now?
Yeah. So I'm going to be the first to say, when I became an insurance agent, I was scared to tell people that, just because I had those misconceptions of suit, tie, making a lot of money, driving those nice vehicles, right? That's not what they all are.
Yeah.
So I was scared. But the thing that I really, really love about our agency, and you said it in the beginning, and I was like, yes, yes. We go out there to advise and educate. So we like to call ourselves like an insurance advisor.
Yeah.
Because we are all about educating and making sure you do know what you are covered for. And we will explain it to you, even if you don't understand,
Right, right.
So that's our goal. But I think that people have always looked at insurance agents as they're out for the commission.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the team that we have, because we're not. We don't add that extra garbage on that you don't need to make commission.
Yeah.
We're putting on there what you need. We're doing what's best for you. And we're going to educate you and tell you what you have and why we put what we did have on it. Like some of the extras that we may add. Say if you're in like now a older neighborhood in Grand Island, they have what is called, some companies have what's called a service line coverage. So that would be if you're any service line, so your sewer, water, anything goes out, which there's some old pipes in this town, right?
Yeah.
So when a customer is with a company that has that and they're going to move in one of those older houses, we're going to add that on there because it's expensive when you have to pay for that yourself. $30 a year is going to be way better than you paying $10,000.
Yeah.
So that's something that but we're going to explain that. We're not just going to add it on and not let you know that.
Sure.
So that's something that, one of those things that, an add-on you can do.
Yeah. I don't know why people still don't understand doing business like in that way only yields long-term customer, only yields referrals, only yields better results. Like people are just so short-sighted. Some people, I shouldn't say people, some people are short-sighted with their business. It doesn't make sense long-term to do that.
No.
Yeah. Because we're all going to be here doing this for another 5-10 years,
Yep.
There's no sense in doing that to people. So thank you for that. Let's get into talking about some insurance stuff. I'm gonna hit you with a hard one. Why has insurance premiums gone up like 2-3 folds? Clearly Michelle is not responsible for these. She didn't get some paper and she like stamped it approved. Like, yep, let's double everybody's insurance.
Don't yell at me because I don't make those.
Yeah. In general, why has that landscape changed like that?
Yep. So the first thing that I hated seeing this article and knowing it, but then when you actually see it on paper, Nebraska has is one of the highest insurance rates in all of the states in the United States.
No way.
Yeah.
Like for home or for
everything?
Just like everything.
Yep. Our insurance rates are the highest.
Whoa.
Ouch. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and the reason because of that. So people will say, but there hasn't been storms. So because that's a lot of times why stay home policies, they increase because of storms. So if a insurance company is going to have a rate increase, they have to submit it to the state. It has to go through the Department of Insurance. They have to okay it, all of this. So it's not an easy process. So say from the storms that hit in 22, those prices might not be reflecting on some companies
until the following year and stuff,
or even 2 years down the line.
Sure.
So, like these tornadoes that happened this last year, I'm not looking forward to what that's going to do, but who knows when it's going to hit.
Yeah.
So it may not be the storms that just happened yesterday.
Yeah.
It could be somewhere in the past.
Interesting.
Yes.
Are there any other factors besides storms and stuff that plays a big part in premium prices?
So that's the main thing. Personally, for your personal insurance, there are factors that go against you. So unfortunately, we have gone through hard times, right? So some people don't have the best credit.
Oh, your credit score.
It can be a factor.
It could be a factor.
So each person has, and every company is different, has what's called an insurance score. And so that insurance score has different factors of how long you have been with your past customer or company, even if you've had insurance in the past. They're looking at all of that, your tickets, part of your credit. It's not like a hard inquiry that they're checking, but they can still see, and things like that. So
Sure.
that does play a huge aspect. Definitely, this year, companies have changed how they are, how they're rating, and credit has become a bigger aspect
Sure.
because they want to know that they're not doing all this work for you and then you can't pay your bill.
Sure.
So
Okay.
that's been a huge part too.
And then
I think the other thing, so we kind of talked about homes. I think on autos, vehicles are more expensive to replace nowadays. So when you get in an accident, it's just so much more expensive, which is raising rates because they're not just a couple $1,000 claims anymore. You know, and that's something that I know that this isn't part of your question, but that's something that we are big about at Pathway. For liability, you have state minimum. Our state has limits that they set, so everybody has to have at least $25,000 per person, up to a $50,000 per accident limit. Okay.
Yeah.
So nowadays that's nothing. That's like not even an ER visit, right?
Yeah.
So we won't even write that at our agency.
Right.
Because it's not enough coverage.
You're just setting up for failure if you're doing that.
And what you can't pay for, that if something happens, that's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And who has that kind of money?
Yeah.
So we won't write that. We have one company that's all we can do, but it's for people who are just starting out with a license or doesn't have an actual United States driver's license.
Okay.
And then we can move them from there. But it's just some company to get them started. But we won't write bare minimum limits because we don't want you to come to us and say, I can't afford these bills. So that's something that you don't think about either.
Man, what a scary time.
It really is.
It's just scary time. Things just, they don't cost in the hundreds anymore. They're just thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah, we just built out the web shop here, and I just couldn't believe it's just things cost astronomical, and insurance is just one of those because it has to follow the trends of how things cost. So unfortunately, that's just kind of the state that we're at, huh?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious about this too. So like, what's really the difference between like a local insurance agent versus like if I'm a listener to the podcast and I like to get policy, right? I like to get a new policy. What's the difference between like contacting Pathway to be like, hey, what can I get versus you just like calling Geico or something? Is there a difference in that process?
Yep. So something that we haven't really talked about is Pathway is an independent agency. Okay. So that means that we have multiple options. Okay. It's not just one, like a captive like Geico or Farmers or Farm Bureau where that's their only option. People have options with us, which is great because then we quote everybody, see what's best for them, and then go from there. Sure. Because what one company that may be best for you isn't the best for somebody else.
So you guys will like grab people's information. You're like, okay, I'm looking for this kind of coverage. They're this age, they got this and that. And then you'll just get quotes back from like.
We have to put it in every company.
You have to go put it in every company.
Yeah.
And then those companies will let you know.
Will then come back. Yep. And just be like, here's your price.
What is something like that? How, does that take you a while to do?
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. So, and that's, you asked me something that weighs on me too. I used to be like, I'll call you by the end of the day. And now I'm like, I'll call you in a couple days.
Yeah.
Like, because I've learned that I can't do that to myself. I can't fret over being able to, and all of us, like getting it done because the phone's going to ring, somebody's going to walk in, I would rather let you know that I'm going to get something done next week and call you tomorrow than not call you tomorrow and call you, you know what I mean? So that has been something too, because we have also added some extra companies. So getting those all quoted and making sure, because the one I might think that isn't going to work for you or be a good fit may be the best price.
Sure.
Or the best coverage. So.
Yeah. So on that note too, a little responsibility from whoever's going to be contacting you too should allow ample time and
Yes.
obviously try to plan ahead. Not like, I
Yes.
need coverage by the end of the day. What do you got for me? Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we do it. We'll
Yeah.
we'll do everything we can to get it done by the time you need. But
Um,
you also
or you're kind of cutting yourself out too of getting the best policy for yourself, right?
agreed.
Because you're kind of in a rush to get that
Yep,
done.
agreed. And we may skip a couple companies because we know that you need it now, right?
Yeah.
You also get discounts if you quote in advance.
Oh,
So if you call me the day that your policy is renewing or you're renewing tomorrow,
yeah.
you're not going to get an advance quote discount.
Oh, sure.
So on home and autos, a lot of companies have those discounts and they can be pretty big.
Yeah.
So
How far in advance should you try to?
probably a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. Okay.
Usually, like if you're getting a renewal, it's going to come out around 30 days ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's definitely great to call around and see. Quoting is free, so
Sure.
doesn't hurt to try that.
I've never considered that actually. Do you just have like a scheduling board that like it just red alert like this customer's policy is gonna end in like a month and then you have to contact them and stuff or
So they get it in the mail.
oh they yeah.
We do get some alerts if there's like an alert on their account, right?
Yeah.
Having enough, we don't. I will say, like I will tell people, call us in 6 months or when your renewal comes out, please call us because
Yeah.
I might have it in my calendar or
Sure.
and that sorry,
Yeah.
like just because there is enough.
I'm kind of just smirking because I was like, I have none of these scheduled, and yeah, I guess I'm putting all of this on Michelle.
It's all right. It happens.
So yeah, I guess the answer to that question would be contacting a local agent like yourself. You have the ability to schedule multiple companies and see what is the best option.
And I think also just being able to talk to us.
I was just gonna say
Talk
that,
to
dude.
us.
I just love rolling up. It's probably not great for you, but I just love rolling up, and I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm seeing you, I'm talking to you,
No,
and
it's great.
it feels
And I feel even if you may not need something, but you come in and like, hey, let's talk about this or let's do this. I know that like we're good and I'll ask you because you're busy.
Yeah.
Like, have you added any extra machines or have you done this? Like, then we know your policy is correct. Some people, like I said, some people add additions onto their house and never tell us.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing. You want your house to be covered, right? So just having that stopping in, seeing us, and just going over that policy to make sure you are covered.
I wonder, I catch myself doing this too. It's like kind of a double-edged sword. You're like, I don't want to tell my insurance agent because my policy is going to go up. But then it's like, it's like if something happens, they're like, well, wouldn't you remodel your brand new kitchen and it's all flooded now? You're like, wow, I don't know. I guess I did forget to tell you. No, I told you, but you forgot to add it. What a weird thing to think about it like that. But yeah, that's true. I catch myself doing this too, but if you're working with an insurance agent, you're just like, which one's the lowest one I can do? And it's kind of a backwards thinking because we're picking policies based on how much something costs versus what does it cover.
Right.
So what's the process there that somebody should be thinking about when they're picking a policy just to make sure that the policy is going to cover them?
Definitely. So I'm going to use this as an example. So we'll quote all of our companies and we may be like, okay, so because we've all heard of Progressive, I'm just going to use them.
Sure.
So Progressive might be cheaper, but I can't promise you that if you have a claim that they're going to cover you perfectly and just the way you need to be. They're going to be easy to work with.
Yeah.
Where if I put you with Farmers Mutual or auto owners or somebody more standard, they're right down the street. They can help you out. They're easier to talk to. I can call and talk to the same person every time rather than a recorded line or just somebody in a call center.
Yeah.
So knowing we always, if that is the case, or even, we'll doing a house, we're going to do a replacement cost estimator where we put in square footage, bathrooms, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes in, if one may come in lower, something like lower than the other, or
Mhm.
we just can't get this one down. I don't know why. Some
Mhm.
companies just have higher replacement cost estimators. We're going to explain that too.
Mhm.
Like this one is lower, but if you just pay $50 more or whatever, you can
Yeah.
have this much more coverage.
Yeah.
So we do always explain that. And I think that's back to us being advisor and educator and
Mhm.
explaining that to you. Like you can pay less,
Yeah.
but like people will call and say, well, I want bare minimums, all of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't do that here
Yeah.
because I want to know. I would rather have you go down the street and no offense, but something
Mhm.
happened to you and that not be on our conscience that we didn't cover you correctly
Mhm.
because you only wanted bare minimums
Yeah.
when you could pay $10 more a month and have over double the coverage.
Yeah. And from a business standpoint too, is sometimes you don't want to do business with those customers because yeah, they don't care. They go with whatever is cheapest, and sometimes it puts you both in a pickle that you don't want to be in. And
Definitely.
yeah, sometimes yeah, don't be that customer, okay, guys. Just kidding. Things are tight.
We all get it. We're all
Yeah.
there.
Um. Yeah, that's such a big one because beyond the price, if anyone's ever had to deal with a claim before, I think it's like in their bones. They remember how terrible the experience was because, some insurance companies, I feel like their whole strategy is kick the can down as long as they can until you feel so frustrated. You're like, whatever, I'll just
You
take
give up.
whatever I can get. Yep. Um, so yeah,
And that's why you got to come with somebody like us where we
yeah,
can help you. We
yeah.
can make that help you get to where you need to be
Uh-huh.
rather than giving up with the person on the other side of the line that's in a
Mm-hmm.
hole across the country.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'd like to point out here is I didn't think about until I had to get multiple policies is something called opportunity costs. Opportunity cost is going to be the cost of you not being able to practice your business. So, for instance, if your machine's down and you're not able to um, process insurance claim quickly to get money to fix it, your machine's just going to be down for weeks and weeks, and then that costs you money, like not literally, but the
You're
opportunity of
losing
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So, um, those things are much more valuable. Um, I guess maybe we can be a little more specific about auto and home policies because those are probably the most popular ones. Like, are there some general rules that you think people can evaluate their auto or home policy just to make sure that they're in a decent one?
Yeah, definitely. So each company does actually have or insurance companies are rated.
Uh-huh.
It's called AM Best, and they give an insurance score. So that's going to A plus plus is the best.
Yeah.
So if you are with the company that's not at least an A or a B or tire B's,
So who's giving them these ratings?
just the head insurance people,
Okay.
like like we have a state in regulations
Okay.
insurance. I'm guessing all of those together
Yeah.
then regulate, and they go off of how they did with claims and how they're doing as a book
Sure.
of business,
Sure.
as well as like how they work with you.
Right.
So if you're with a and you can just Google this. If you're with a company that might not be very highly rated,
Uh-huh.
when it comes to a claim, you might have those issues,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to have those issues.
Sure.
And I will have company back to like people trusting me. I'll have people say, well, like, is this a good company?
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't sell you a company that's not good.
Yeah. Internally, do you guys like only work with like a certain level and above, or do you
Um,
still allow yourself to quote people policies like
if we have a company that we struggle with, we're not writing you
yeah,
them.
yeah,
So we will get all of our customers away from them.
sure, sure.
Thankfully, we haven't had to do that.
Uh-huh.
But we have, I mean, kind of had a talk of like, somebody's like, well, can you get this company? And we'll look into them. We're like, we don't want that company.
Yeah.
So just thinking about how that is. I also think just having you're just asking about how do you evaluate them. We talked about minimum limits. You don't want those minimum limits.
Yeah.
You want on your page, it's going to say,
Could you
go ahead.
quickly explain what the minimum limit is in like
Yep.
the simplest way?
Yes. Okay. So you get in an accident. Each state has minimum limits. Nebraska's is $25,000 per person in the vehicle. I would say I hit you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I would have $25,000 per person in your vehicle,
Okay.
but only up to $50,000 per accident.
And that covers medical and their
Yes.
car and everything?
Yep.
Okay.
So like you had 4 people in your vehicle.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that I was taught when I started insurance was if you own a home, to
Mhm.
never go below $100,000 per person, up to $300,000 per accident. So that's another jump up you can go.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, if you can't afford it,
Uh-huh.
that's coming out of your pocket. They could
Yeah.
take your home. They could take your car. They could take everything.
No way.
Yes. So it's scary. So yes, you don't want to pay those higher limits,
Mhm.
but it's worth it.
Yeah. Is there a minimum that you would recommend then?
Nowadays, before I was okay with writing 50, 100.
Yeah.
So that's double our limits.
Yeah.
$50,000 per
Yeah.
person up to $100,000 per accident. I would say definitely because people are sue happy.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't go below 100, 300.
100, 300.
Yep.
A minimum of 100, maximum of 300,000 that it would cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go below that.
Sure.
You also have a property damage, so that would be like I hit your vehicle or I hit a building or something, somebody runs into it. If you think about it nowadays, vehicles are worth almost 100,000.
Uh-huh.
So you gotta make sure you keep an eye on that. And I've actually had people, or even if they're may have found another company that they're going away from us, I ask them, like, let me bring in your policy and just let me make sure that you have the coverages you need.
Uh-huh.
And we're okay with looking over it and advising, like, okay, this looks great, and I'm sad to see you go, or thanks for bringing this in so I could help you. But I think you need to raise this.
Yeah.
Because you want to be covered.
Man, that just sent chills down my spine. I'd never even consider that if your policy does not cover the accident, then they could pursue you personally and your assets. Wow. That's crazy. That's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
And definitely how sue happy people are these days. You never know. So,
yes, you would just recommend people maybe Google it or come talk to you, obviously, but just Google their provider and see what kind of score that they have, and that'd be the best way to kind of judge.
Right.
Yeah.
To at least start. Because some people will say, like, but I love where I am. I've been there forever. And they may have never had to talk to their agent in years because they haven't had to do any changes or do anything.
Yeah.
But what happens when it comes claim time?
Yeah. Sure.
That's always the scary part.
That is the scary part, and that's when you need it.
Yep.
What about some tips that you would have for people? I know, like, obviously, if money wasn't a problem, you should just get the best policy ever. But are there any tips that you have on saving a little bit of money? And I think you mentioned one over earlier is just to get an early quote to like 2 weeks or a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. So advance quote is the big one. Also bundling your home and your auto. People would be like, but I don't have a home.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that a lot of people don't know about either, is you should always have renter's insurance.
Yeah.
That renter's insurance isn't just covering your contents, because people could be like, I have nothing. But on that renter's insurance, it's also got personal liability on there. That personal liability literally is like not even $20 a year, but that's covering you anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So you go somewhere, you are liable for something, you hurt somebody in Africa.
Yeah.
You have coverage to help cover you.
Oh, the renter is in policy?
Yes.
Extends that? Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yep. As long as you don't just have like a premise liability policy and you have one that will cover you everywhere. That's huge. Just back to the sue happy thing. Just having that coverage to cover you and knowing that you are okay there.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling too.
Yeah, that renter's policy is like
It's
it's
like
like nothing.
$10 to
It's
$20
next
a
to
month.
nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, so you said group policies, advanced quoting, and making sure you're covered as well
Yep,
on your
bundling.
personal.
Yep, looking at your deductibles, that can help too.
Mm-hmm.
Raising those deductibles definitely on a home, even though we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting those higher deductibles and just praying you won't have a storm or something,
Mm-hmm.
can definitely make a huge difference as well.
Sure. So all of those were really good tips. Let's say okay, be like, all right, Michelle sounds awesome. Let me see if I can go chat with her. Can you walk us through like what it'd be like just to get a new policy with you? How does it start? How should
Of
people
course.
contact you?
Yeah.
What can they
So
expect?
either you can give us a call.
Uh-huh.
Our Grand Island number 308-382-3150.
Hmm.
So give us a call, or even our Carroll office too.
Sure.
Um, give us a call or stop by.
Uh-huh.
What we'll do on that phone call or when you come into our office, we're gonna get your information.
Hmm.
Starting off with name, all the drivers in the household, their date of birth and driver's license numbers,
Hmm.
your vehicle information,
Hmm.
and your home address. And then if you need a home quote, the huge thing that is so big right now,
Yeah.
on home insurance, and that's something that can help with pricing as well, is
Hmm.
what year your roof is. So
Oh,
the
okay.
newer your roof, the cheaper your policy is going to be.
Sure.
So knowing your roof year as well.
Uh-huh.
Then unfortunately, internet is a little creepy. So I can then go onto the assessor site, find all the information out about your house,
Sure.
and go from there.
Uh-huh.
We do like to quote apples to apples if you guys have current insurance. So knowing like what your replacement cost is,
Maybe just bring in your current
all of that,
policy. Hmm.
that's helpful too. Just
Sure.
because then we can say, this is what you have now, but I'd
Hmm.
advise that you raise this
Sure.
or something like that.
Sure.
So that's always helpful. And so it's quick, easy.
Uh-huh.
Because we have so many companies, I mean, you could sit there,
Yeah.
but you might have to sit there for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we'll just call you back, and then we can talk it over on the phone, email you,
Hmm.
you can come in, and then just that easy. We go from there.
Well, that's easy enough. No harm, no foul. We
No.
can just take a look at it and see what we can do. All right. Those were all the information and questions that I had for Michelle. I'm gonna link all of their information below. And she's like I said, there's a team of 3 here. So I think any of them would be able to help you guys if you guys wanted to get more information or just get a quote and just see like what's going on. Yeah, it's a new year, so I'd recommend it's a good time to kind of get in and kind of refresh yourself on what policies are out there and what's up to date, and because it's ever changing landscape. So get
I
a professional that can help you.
Yes, and I did forget to say we do have a Spanish speaking agent in our office, so that has been huge as well. A lot of people have been coming in, and that's been very helpful.
Yeah.
There's not as many Spanish agents um, in the town,
Uh-huh.
and Mariana's so good about educating them and
Uh-huh.
explaining. They're not just signing that paper like I hear
Mhm.
happens to them
Mhm.
a lot.
Mhm.
She gets to explain what they are signing. They're not just signing a paper.
Yeah, and I imagine sometimes if there's that language barrier, it could be difficult, and they're like, just sign here or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. We're gonna wrap up the podcast here. Thank you, Michelle, for
Thank you.
coming by. And then I think we'll have to do this again soon.
Yes.
When
Thank you.
there's some updated policies and stuff.
Yes.
All right, everybody. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.